What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Off the Couch Boxing. I'm your host, Rexx Ruger. That, of course, is the Alexis Arguello puppet. I am in the flesh. He is in the felt. But the bottom line is we are here for another banger of an episode. Y'all know what we do here. The most amazing and real boxing conversations anywhere on planet Earth. Legends, luminaries, world champions, and fighters on the come up. That's how we get down here. That's who's coming on here and chopping it up with your boy, Reckless Rexx. And today is no different. My guest is here, so we are going to get into it immediately. Let's go. What's going on, Sean?
Yo, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How's everything, man?
It's been a process. Boxing is like a right time, right place, right man type of sport.
Yeah.
Everything has to line up for things to happen sometimes. So
Yeah.
Just
Well,
taking it day by day.
I want to catch people up to speed because the last time that I talked to you, first of all, it's been a while since we've seen you in the ring from the time of the Diego Pacheco fight last April, and you just got back in the ring here in May. What was the impetus like for the layoff? What kind of stuff were you going through? How did you process that? Was your first loss, man? What was the road back like?
Honestly, it was my first loss on paper, but it wasn't so much like a fight where I was dominated or beat up. Came out. It wasn't one of those kinds of situations. So, in many ways, it was just a matter of continuance. I showed that I belonged at the top and just kept working. And during that time, I wasn't out of the ring for a lack of trying or a lack of willingness to fight. It was more so guys just not wanting to fight me.
Right.
That's really the biggest issue I had. I showed myself, like I said, I showed and proved myself to be a world-class fighter. So now it's people are hesitant to fight me. The thing
Sure.
that I had going for myself was that I was relatively unknown, but now that
Right.
I'm a known product and a factor in the weight class, so it's a little more difficult to pin guys down now. So like I said, I just kept working. I knew eventually something would come down the pike. It happened to be my fight in May. But like I said, I really spent the better part of that entire year training. I was supposed to be fighting Bekimir Malakuziev so we were supposed to fight last year, November 2nd. I know I was in the running to get that fight, and it didn't happen. They told me that we would revisit it at a later time. So I kept training to stay busy, make sure I wasn't caught slipping at all.
Right.
And then he goes and fights someone else again. So then they ghosted us all together after I had already let them know, I want to fight. They told me they wanted to fight, and then it didn't happen. So either way, it was a blessing in disguise being able to stay busy, because if I didn't have a target and a name, who's to say how things would went? I always stay training, but
Right.
to have a target in mind made things a little different for me, especially one at that of that caliber at least.
So this last fight in May, though, and correct me if I'm wrong, you fought at light heavyweight. Will this be your weight class going forward?
Well, it was actually so the plan really, it was just a matter of the fight's not a title fight. It's not a situation where there's anything major on the line. So it was at a catch weight. For me, well, not so much a catch weight. The fight was at 175, but for me, I came in just under just a little bit over 172. So
Okay.
I like to think of myself as someone who's an in-between guy, like Dimitri Bivol. I could fight at 68. That's where I prefer to be, but I can also I have the body and the frame to be able to fight at 175 if necessary. So
Right.
it was just a matter of the opportunity. We did it more so for him than for myself.
Let me ask you, because you are in that weight vicinity, to go off topic, off your own career for a second. It looks like the end of this year, we are going to see the big matchup between Canelo and Terrence Crawford. As somebody who's fought at 168 yourself, where do you rate Terrence's chance in that fight?
I think he has a good chance based on his IQ, all of like all of the tangibles, you know, his power, his IQ, his ring craft, his know-how, things of that nature. The unknown is, of course, going to be the can he handle shots from guys at 168, and can he
Right.
handle the extra weight himself? You know, will he be able to move it fluidly? Will he be able to hold on to as much oxygen in his muscles late into the fight? You know, all of those
Right.
things. But if anybody can do it, as far as from this era, who can make that jump up in weight and still be successful, I think it's him.
Now, we just saw another one of these events, you know, love them or hate them. We just saw one this past weekend, man. I may have asked you this the first time I had you on. Where do you stand on Jake Paul events, man? Will you watch these, man? Do you think these are good for boxing?
Honestly, I don't think it's good for boxing as far as like the sport itself goes. I think it's good for entertainment value. I mean, it gives people something to watch, something to
Right.
do. You know, because he could have chose to do it. I mean, well, I guess he couldn't have chose to do anything else. Boxing is the only sport where, you know, a guy can come in and the only thing he has to his benefit is money. You know, like
Yeah,
the main
right.
thing that he has to his benefit to be able to do this is money. You know, a guy can't just wake up one day and decide, oh, I want to go join the NFL. There's blockades and barriers you have
For
to,
sure.
prerequisites that you have to have in place in order to be even eligible for something like that. Or he couldn't wake up and say, I'm going to go join the NBA. But yeah, it's good again because it's like, okay, the sport that he chose was boxing. It gives boxers a chance, you know, like Floyd Schofield, you know, he just picked up his biggest win of his career on a Jake Paul card. You know,
Right.
like when you think about those, think about it in those terms, yeah, it just depends on your perspective, I guess. But as far as him being ranked in the WBA and all that, like, you know, like let things run their course. Let's see. You know, maybe he'll jump in the ring with a quote unquote real fighter, and then we'll actually see what the difference is between a guy who does this like for real and does this as a like means of feeding his family and a means of like accomplishment and like his passion versus the guy who's doing it as like an adventure, you know, like a side quest, and it's,
Right.
you know.
Well, he
So
does try to live. He does try to live like a fighter and perpetuate this, you know, this narrative that he is a fighter. People question the resume a little bit. When you look at him, man, do you see a fighter? I mean, I guess respect the fact that he climbs through those ropes or whatever, man. But do you, has he earned that respect now as like a fellow boxer yourself? Do you look at him and say, yeah, he's a boxer?
Well, I'll say this: like, I respect him because he doesn't. I mean, he doesn't have to do it. He has
Right.
no reason to do it other than, you know, it's just something that he wants to do. So I respect him in that way. Like how we respect like Conor Benn in that way. You know, like Conor Benn doesn't have to be a boxer. You know, his dad is a legend. You know,
Right.
just to make the comparison. You know, like there's guys who don't have to do it and they still do. So I respect him in that way. But as far as like, I mean, he has all of the control in the world that, again, like guys who have been doing it their entire lives don't. He has enough money, enough influence to pick his opponent, which he's been doing. You know, like a lot of guys don't have that same access or that same like pool. You know, depending on who you have doing business for you, you kind of just fight whoever's presented to you. He's not taking that route. You know, who's to say he might change course? He may change course, but at the moment, my respect extends as far as he doesn't have to do it, and he still does.
Now, you mentioned the fact of him getting ranked. In your opinion, is he somebody that we'll ever see with a world title belt?
I mean, he may fight for one, but as far as like winning one, I don't see that happening. Like I said, there's
No.
guys who have been doing it for such a long time and who have laid so much foundation and groundwork. The one thing that you cannot make up for, and the thing that I was just having a conversation with a friend about this the other day, that boxing is the one sport where, like, well, I guess there's many other sports like it, but boxing is unique in the way that like there's no replacement for experience. There's no replacement for
Right.
like the work that you put in. There's no you know, like there's no replacement for that. Like boxing is a sport where you have to go through the fire in order to like be the best, or, you know, to be great. You have to put yourself in certain positions that I just feel like he hasn't put himself in. He hasn't had an amateur career. He hasn't had a very tough professional career. And yeah, like I said, to be in a world title fight, you know, yeah, there's just a lot of things that he's missing in order to be prepared for a moment like that.
Now, I always think of boxing, you know, certainly is a sport where you have to have physical tools, but certainly, you know, mental toughness too. Getting back to your own career, man, you know, was there anything mentally tough for you, you know, in dealing with your first defeat, man? Because obviously so much has been made in the past about, great. I always think of this as like the Floyd Mayweather effect. Guys are always so concerned with keeping their O, and that was how greatness was measured, or whatever. Was that anything that you wrestled with or dealt with, man? Taking that first loss, man, was it something that haunted you, affected you in any way?
Not so much in the sense of like, oh, I lost the fight. Now I'm like worthless,
Less
or
that,
like,
right?
oh, I lost the fight, and now like, okay, it somehow like alters my legitimacy as a professional. Like, I didn't go through any of that. It was just more so like for me personally on a level where it's like I lost and it sucks. I just hate to
Yeah.
lose. It's not so much because of like third party like opinions or like scrutiny from the public or anything like that, because a lot of people felt like I won the fight. A lot of people had good things to say about me after the fight. Like I said, all it's done is put me in a different spotlight, I guess. Like I said, it's got guys not wanting to fight me. My stock was raised and Pacheco's stock was lowered. His stock was lowered in a win, and my stock was raised in a loss. So I think
Right.
there's something said about that. So yeah, it didn't affect me in the way of like you said, like the Floyd Mayweather disease, where it's like, oh,
Right,
you lost,
right.
now you're winning.
Now, did you go back and watch and assess your performance, or like once a fight like that is over and you've lost, do you just kind of like move on, or do you go back and critique what you did that night, or do you look at things and say, I could have done this, I could have done that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like for me, I had to like give myself an honest few weeks to kind of detach from the fight emotionally. So I
Right.
didn't like watch it with like some inherent bias of, oh, it's me, so there's no way that I lost. I gave myself some time before I actually went back and watched it. And yeah, like I said, my opinion on the fight still hadn't changed. Like I still feel like I won the fight. But yeah, like of course there was things I felt like I could have done better. But that's the thing about boxing is that, you get one night, you spend 6 to 8 weeks to prepare for one night where you damn near have to be perfect. And that's a hard thing to do at the world level. So to be able to do that over and over again is how your greatness should be measured. So like I said, I learned a lot from it, and going forward into another fight like that, like I've learned what I need to do. I've learned what I need to tweak and change here and there. So, it'll be a different situation next time out.
How did you feel fighting this last fight at a heavier weight, at 175 pounds? And like I said, do you feel like maybe we will see you in the future at light heavyweight?
I felt great, honestly. Like I said, I spent that entire like back half of the year training, and like I'm a big guy naturally.
Right.
So I have a big frame, wide shoulders, like long arms, obviously, like reach way outside of my weight class. So yeah, I felt great, honestly. Like the weight cut, everything was perfect. I do it all myself, and I've always like tried to live like a fighter, whether I've got a fight coming up or not. So yeah, we really just rolled right into fight night. Like I said, I could have made 68 if I wanted to, but contractually it was at 175 for the other guy, and I definitely do see myself at 175 in the near future. Especially with the fact that, like I said, everybody at 168 is running for the hills anytime my name is mentioned. So
Yeah.
175 may be in the near future for me. We'll see though.
Often, talking to boxers on here, man, it always seems like, certainly guys get in the sport and they set goals for themselves, how they want to carve out their legacy. You get guys who want to capture gold maybe in a lot of weight classes, or you get a guy like Terrence Crawford who singles in on weight classes and wants to become undisputed. And what goals have you set for yourself in the sport?
For me, of course, like the first major hump every fighter has to get over is world championship. That's the first world championship is you think it's like your magnum opus or like your greatest accomplishment, and then you kind of come down from that high and realize that again, people like this in this sport, you have to prove yourself over and over and over and over again. So for me, of course, like goal number one in the short term is world championship. And then for me also, like another big thing for me is fighting the best fighters in whatever weight class I'm in. I want to challenge myself against the best. Like that, that's always been my biggest motivation, is to see how I stack up against the quote unquote best in the weight class. Like more so than anything else, like win, lose or draw, it's always been about me like challenging myself and pushing myself to see how, like what my limits are, how great I actually am. It's not so much about like accomplishments, because you can go fight for a vacant world title against some unknown guy who can blow him out in the round. But like for me, it's like who did you do it against? Not how did you do it, who did you do it
Right.
against, more so than anything else. That's how legacies are built. And I want to build a legacy. So
where are those bigger fights, do you feel like? Do you feel like that there aren't any of those fights left at 168? Obviously, Canelo's the big fish always at 168. He seems to punch his own ticket and pick who he wants to fight. Do you feel like there's bigger opportunities, better opportunities at 175?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously David Morrell's moved up. David Benavidez has moved up. You got Dimitri Bivol and Artur Beterbiev who are there. To me, yeah, I think so. And for me, of course, being that it's like a weight class that feels much more natural and much better to me, I think I'd be more comfortable there and I'd be able to perform closer to 100% there than at 68. So for me, yeah, like it's a situation where we'll see what other guys move up in weight as well. But the current landscape of the weight class, there are some very big names there.
Is it frustrating for you, like when you're talking about like pursuing fights and can't get them, man? Like talk a little bit about what that's like as like a fighter, man. You know what I mean? You're active, you're in the gym, you want to fight, and you just can't secure fights.
Of course, it's frustrating, but I also know that it's because of like how can I put it? Like intimidation, Like if I was a bum, there would be and that's another thing about boxing that's so weird is that bums have no shortage of guys willing to fight them, of course.
Right.
Or even like low tier, like not even bums, low tier guys have no shortage of opportunities or no, like, and not even to bring up any names, but we know, like, we see the guys who get opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, even with losses. Like, and again, not to call this guy a bum because that's the last thing I want to do because he's not, but like a Gabriel Rosado who has not won a fight since what? 2019, like 2020, that guy gets every opportunity. Or guys like even like a guy I fought, Von Alexander, he has no shortage of opportunities, but somebody like me beat him, and beat guys who he's beat and who has continually, like I said, who has shown himself to be a world-class fighter. I can't get someone to sign on the dotted line even when I'm telling them, hey, I'll fight you. I don't need everything to be perfect. I don't need 8 weeks. I don't need $1 million. I just need an opportunity to show what I can do because I know it all comes later. Like I said, I'm in this for the long haul. I think a lot of guys in boxing are not in it for the long haul or to build a legacy. They use it as a means to collect a check. And like when you move that way, you're not going to be remembered. Like me, I feel like if things go the way I would like them to, then I'll be remembered, long after I retire. A lot of the guys I've tried to fight and a lot of the guys who are in my weight class, I think they're not going to be remembered after they retire because they're in it for the long reasons. They're not in it to challenge themselves like I am or in it to build a legacy like I am. So, yeah.
And now this first fight back that you had in May ended in the first round. Talk a little bit about like what it was like to get back in the ring, man, and assess your performance, after that year plus layoff.
For me, like I said, I felt great. I felt great. Personally, like I said, I spent the entire year training, and here, take this. No,
I know the big thing. I know the big thing is you guys always say you don't get paid for overtime, man. But like after that amount of time, man, would you have liked to gotten more rounds in? I know it's great to get a first round win, but
that and that's what I was getting at is that it was disappointing because like I spent a long time training, obviously, but we expected him to be tougher. I know the kid didn't have the best record, but I am familiar with him. He's fought on, like when I fought Von Alexander, he fought on the undercard and fought a guy from Colorado and that managed to stop him in the round. And then, obviously if you go check, like look at some of the guys' wins, a lot of his wins are either over undefeated guys or guys 1 or 2 losses at most. Like he has beat some guys, like who were hot at the time and like in impressive fashion too. So I expected a lot more from him. And like I was disappointed, but I also like know that it speaks to my like where I'm at. To come off of a to come off of a layoff, although like it wasn't much of a layoff because I spent I spent the entire year training. But to come off of a layoff to a first round knockout, I think it tells you about the kind of work I've been doing and where my head is at and where my mentality is, and like still in, like, to still be able to maintain killer instinct after a year out of the ring. I think, again, it says
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, it does. And so when you go into a fight, do you prefer, being in the role of the favorite, or do you prefer the underdog?
I mean, I think all of that stuff is like, it matters up until the moment that the first bell rings.
Yeah,
Like, it matters for people who may bet on sports, or people who may do like shows, where they talk about the sport, but none of that matters once you get in the ring. Again, at the world class level, you know, the margin of error is that big. So,
sure.
who you
Right.
think is going to win or who you think is going to lose, it goes out the window as soon as, like I said, the first bell rings. So I don't really care. Like, you can be a perceived underdog like I was in the Pacheco fight, and I didn't get the memo, of course, as you can see in
Right.
the performance. So,
Right.
yeah, that never mattered to me.
Is it ever in the back of your mind, because we do still see, and I'm very critical of it and have been numerous times on my own show here, that we do still see bad scoring and bad judging? It is a black cloud, over the sport still. Is that anything that ever weighs in your mind? Because you have 16 wins, 8 knockouts, so you have had to go to the cards. Have there been any of those tense moments for you when scorecards are being announced?
Honestly, the first time I ever felt that way was the Pacheco fight.
Yeah.
Just because I knew I was going in as a major underdog, like in the sports books, and I knew I was walking into a situation where they had everything riding on him being. They already had the guy's next fight planned out,
Yeah.
before we even signed contracts, I'm sure. So they had a lot riding on him winning, and they did. I feel like, no, I'm not gonna sit here and get all like tinfoil hat territory or anything, but like,
Yeah.
there was a lot on the line for him to win the fight. He headlined back home in the city right after we fought. They put him as the WBO mandatory right after we fought. Like, all of that was already in motion
Right.
before we even stepped in the ring. So yeah, like, again, to go back to the question that you asked originally, as far as like A side, B side, that's the only thing. But even then, it's like, you have a semblance of control because you're in the ring fighting. So again, that was one of the lessons I learned, is either put the guy out completely or hurt him so bad that, there's no
Yeah.
dominating so completely that there is no question. And even if they give it to the other guy, it's either like publicly maligned so badly that they either return it, or, the people know who actually won, and just, you know, you're treated as the winner even if you lost on paper.
Right. What do you think life looks like for you, like when you actually hang up the gloves and you're done with your in-ring performing? Do you feel like you're a guy that will always keep a foot in boxing? Are you interested in other aspects of the sport, i.e. promoting or coaching and training yourself? Or will you make a clean break, and are you interested in other endeavors and other ventures?
So I have like some skill. Like I said, me being the way that I am, I like to do everything myself, as far as like how the ins and outs of camp, from like nutrition to weight cuts and things of that
Yeah.
nature. Like, I think I'd probably, like, if I do stay involved in the sport, it would probably be like from that perspective. Like, I'd love to be a camp chef. Like, I love to cook. I'm really good at cooking.
Yeah.
I know how to like cook to help fighters lose weight, but maintain their energy levels and all of those things. Like, I do that for myself. Or like I said, or even like a sports nutritionist. But other than that, yeah, I'd like to make a clean break from boxing, just because of the nature of the business, the nature of the people involved in the business. It's like, once you become involved, again, a conversation I had with a friend before he actually came on board to join my team was like, you see all of the things that happen in the ring, but you don't see all of the things that happen behind the scenes.
Right.
And a friend of mine says all the time, he's like, boxing is the only sport where you wake up and love it, and go to sleep hating it. And I
Right.
can't tell you how many days and nights I've had like that, where I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what, fuck this sport, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, me, if I don't stay involved from that standpoint, then yeah, I'm gonna make a clean break. I don't want to be involved in the business. I don't want to deal with the personalities and like the
Right.
ego beefs, that the long-standing beefs between promoters and managers and all that. Like, I've seen it all now that I'm behind the scenes, and I fought at the world level, where the shakers and movers, are involved in doing things. So like, I've seen it all now. So to know what comes with it all, like, I'd rather it be torture or like you'd have to be a masochist to want to be
Yeah.
involved in
Yeah.
seeing everything that's gone into it, that goes on behind the scenes.
Have you even thought about your career down to the point of the age you'd like to fight at, or how many pro fights you have in you before you want to step away? Like, I've had guys on here who know, okay, I'm not going to be fighting and getting punched in the face past this age, or I'm going to fight this amount of pro fights and then I'm getting out. Or are you still kind of playing it by ear, or have you calculated your career to that point?
No, I don't think about the end so much. Where I'm at in my career now, it's at like I'm at such a pivotal point where all I can think about is like making my next move my best time out. So
Right.
like, and that's the thing about boxing is that if you're not in the position of a Canelo where you can call your shots, then like you really don't know what's gonna happen. Like,
Right.
and that's the thing about boxing. Like I said, it's like the wild, wild west. You don't have a lot of control over things if you don't have a billionaire or a multimillionaire, like either being one yourself or, having someone behind the scenes who can pay guys to do this, pay guys to do that. A lot of times, like that's the thing about the sport is, again, I think we all play it by ear up to the 1% guys are probably the only ones that don't play it by ear because they know
Right.
exactly what they're going to do, exactly when they're going to fight, because there's so much that goes into it. When you call the shots at a level of a Canelo, you're involved in booking the date of the venue that you're going to be fighting at,
Right.
and you're involved in the merch that's going to be sold and the splits and all of that. All of this has to be planned out years or like a year or two in advance, in best case scenario. Like again, it's down to the concessions. If there's, like he said himself, if the soda gets sold in the venue when I fight, I'm getting 80%.
You want a piece of that? Yeah.
Yeah. So like when you talk about control at that level, you don't get there by getting a phone call on a random Tuesday saying, "Hey, there's a fight available for you. Do you want it or not?"
Right.
It doesn't happen that way at that level. It's almost like being the CEO of a company. You're involved in every decision, even down to who's on the undercard and how much they make and all of that. There's so much control for like I call them the 1%ers in boxing.
Yeah. So what's next for you, man? Do you have your next fight date, and how active would you like to be the rest of 2025? Will we see you in the ring again this year?
I do believe so.
Yeah.
We got some things in the works on the fight end, as well as like some other moves that can be made as well. The plan, of course, is to get back in the ring as soon as possible. As soon as one of these super middleweights like decides they want to pick, gets involved and fight me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no date, like no definitive date. Like I said, I put my name in the hat to many different camps and many different fighters, and they've all said no, or in a roundabout way have said no. So yeah, we're just waiting for somebody to get brave enough to actually want to fight. Or like I said, we'll just go back, take another stay busy fight, go back to the club level, just keep me active and under the lights until that opportunity comes. But I know it will. That's the thing about boxing is like eventually, it's gonna.
I appreciate you, man. Listen, bro, I appreciate you. I've been making the time, man. You're always generous with your time. I always love chopping up with you. Glad to see you back in the ring. Congratulations, man. Good to see you back after a long layoff, man. And always looking forward to watching you fight, man. You're one of my guys, man.
Much appreciated. I definitely appreciate taking the time to have me on again and letting me explain a little bit of what goes on in my world and what's going on. And like I said, everyone keep your eyes peeled. I will be back in the ring sooner than later. And hopefully it'll be against one of your favorite guys. But in the meantime, if y'all could do me a favor, follow me on Instagram at theamazing.sm, on Twitter at SHAWN280. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled. Big things coming.
Yeah. And as soon as you got some news and a fight lined up, man, and you got something popping, man, we'll jump on here and do it again, man. Always got a platform here, man.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
All right. We'll talk again, Sean. Thanks, brother. Talk to you soon, man.
Thank you.
Later. There he goes, folks. The amazing SHAWN McCALMAN. 16-1, 8 knockouts, super middleweight, or maybe light heavyweight. I don't know. Sounds like he might throw his hat into that ring as well. No pun intended. But good to see him back. Obviously, he had that controversial loss to Diego Pacheco in April of 2024. He just got back in the ring here in May of this year with a first round stoppage. So it's good to see him back. Always love catching up with him, man. Really one of the guys in doing this podcast I love talking to, because he is just so insightful and, really pulls no punches. Again, no pun intended. Really lays it out there, man. Honest, candid answers, man. When you're doing interviews, that's what you love, man. And that's what we do here. The most amazing and real boxing conversations anywhere. And we just had one with the amazing SHAWN McCALMAN. And as he said, go follow him, go keep track of what he's doing, and look for him in the ring very soon. And I think it'll be a big situation when we do see him back in the ring, because he is on that world level. Would love to see him in there with some of the big names. Either at 168, as he said, a lot of people have run for the hills from 168. Canelo seems to have cleaned out the division and/or chased people away because they can't get fights with him being the pinnacle of that division. So maybe we see him at light heavyweight. There's obviously, as he mentioned, great opportunities there. David Morales, David Benavidez, Dmitry Bivol, Artur Beterbiev, Callum Smith is an interim champion, WBO. So there's great opportunities up there. So sky's the limit, man. But we will see SHAWN McCALMAN, and we will see him in there with elite level competition. Of that, I have no doubt. Again, 16-1, 8 knockouts. Now I go into shameless promotion mode, because I have to before I sign off, because it's what you got to do. You got a podcast, you got to pimp it. I got to be a pimp here. So here it goes. Make sure to like and follow Off the Couch Boxing on Facebook. Of course, you'll get updates on new episodes, when they are dropping, who will be on said episodes, and any other big boxing news. If it is popping off in the fight game, it will be on the Facebook page. I will keep my audience in the loop and well informed. And of course, if you're watching this episode right now, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, make sure to smash that notification bell to stay tapped in. This is where you really need to be. Go check out the playlist. Go look at the 240 some odd past episodes that we've done. Like I always say, there is literally something on there for everybody. We got chats with your OGs, your legends, your fighters that are on the rise, tomorrow's champions, the future of the sport. It is all on there, folks. Your boy Reckless Rexx runs them down no matter where they are, overseas. We go all over the place to bring you the greatest boxing content, and I think we do a hell of a job. Of course, I'm a little biased, and I will say with absolute certainty, that's what makes us the undisputed, undefeated heavyweight champion of boxing podcast. And the good news is you too can be a champion. All you got to do is continue to stay tapped in to Off the Couch Boxing and continue to roll with the champs. Peace.